Let me mute this for now.
What's happening? What's happening? I think we on. It's my bad. I had a little power outage there, so it took a minute to get everything back up. So we're gonna just do what we do right quick. And I'm still trying to get some things done. What's happening? What's crack-a-lacking, y'all? What's crack-a-lacking? And what do we do here? All right, today is the 1st of October. It is 6:21 Eastern Standard Time. Y'all know who I am. I'm DVP, and this is Random Thoughts with DVP. It's crazy. I'm being locked out. Ain't that nothing? So it's not letting me in my Facebook account. So I am having trouble. Hey Mo, can you do me a favor? Can you take the invite and shoot it to Mark? I can't hear you at all. Now maybe it's me.
No, Mike was mute. I can do that.
Yeah, can you shoot the invite to Mark?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so folks, it's the first. I got Mo here. Mark is on the way. I had a plan for another show, but we already 20 minutes in, and I ain't been doing what I was supposed to. So I'm gonna see if Mo ready. If Mo ready, I'm gonna let Mo do his thing, and y'all can just blame me for it. As Akon said, put the blame on me, or actually put it on Greystone since the power went out, and it took me a minute to get everything back up to speed. So Mo, do you want to try to do the Law and Order show today? Or you want to just wait another week?
I'll leave that up to you, man.
How ready are you?
I don't need. I mean, I've had stuff for a while, so it's not scripted, so I'm just gonna throw stuff at y'all. So it's all good,
okay.
Man. Yeah, if you want to do it that way, or if not, that's fine with me. It's up to you.
Okay. Well, like I said, I didn't know if you had nothing, and I hadn't been on to advertise like I was supposed to.
So okay. I got you.
I didn't want to.
Yeah, so I'm looking. Is Mark should Mark be in the chat somewhere? I'm trying to find Mark.
Well, the chat it's me, you, and him in one chat. He's not in the group chat with all of us.
Oh, okay. So let me find that one.
Yeah. Yeah, because I sent the invite from my other page.
Oh, here it goes.
All right. So anyway, what's been going on lately in the news, man? It's been a whirlwind. I've been kind of all over the place. So my neck hurt, my back hurt. I got a bunch of ailments. I don't know what's really going on. Felt like I got hit by 2 trucks. So I'm here. So if I'm stammering a little bit, I ain't as smooth as I normally am. Just work with me. But before we get to this, because I did have a special request. Let me see. Are they on yet? Somebody asked me a question, and I said I wanted to. All right, let's see. Yeah, once they get here, I can get them in. I just couldn't send the invite. And hopefully Joe can come on. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and talk about the Law and Order stuff. But I do want to say this, and I want to emphasize this before we get into it. I don't mind y'all. I don't mind when we talk bad, when we ask realistic questions about cops. I really don't. It makes the system better. But I want y'all to stop doing what y'all want cops to stop doing. When you hear one bad incident, and I want y'all to consider this. I work for Fulton County Sheriff's Office. They have 1,000 officers. 1,000 officers. 1,000. So if the Sheriff's Department, in theory, got 4 complaints in a year, 4 out of 1,000 is 0.04%. Okay? So every time y'all see something, I want y'all to stop saying what all cops do, because cops invariably do the same thing. When they see when they see one black doing something, they like to generalize that blacks do that. Think about how many black people there are. Think about what we see on the news. What do you see more of? Do you hear more about cops doing wrong stuff? Do you hear more about blacks doing wrong stuff? So if we're going to balance the system out, you got to call a spade a spade. Just like I refer to niggas as niggas and black folks saying niggas, they just look alike. bad cops look like good cops, but you can't keep generalizing all of them into saying this, because when I put the test out there for y'all, and I gave everybody a fair shot, go to your page, ask all your friends, all your brothers, how many of them had police encounters, how many of them got killed, how many of them got slapped, how many of them got arrested, and y'all proved the numbers. Most people been pulled over, and they didn't get beat up, they didn't get their money stolen, nobody died. So if in your own life the numbers don't say what you see on the news is true, stop trying to make it be true. It's crazy. I know more people who the cops gave warnings to than actually got tickets. So, and I'm not sitting here, I'm not trying to defend them. I'm just saying, if we're going to have a real conversation about what's what, we got to have an honest conversation, not a Republican conversation where we making one incident be the norm for everything. Let's see. Mark knows me personally. Hell, Mark know I played football, and hell, I was probably the only member of a football team that wasn't a convict.
That might be true.
Yeah, I mean, but we all coexisted together. Yeah, they knew what I was, I knew what they was. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a big deal. So, but I just need for y'all to quit acting like one cop, 10 cops represent damn near 400,000 cops, because there are tons of cops across America. Joe is here. He was a police chief. So when you see an incident, and like I said, we will address these incidents, but quick. I heard somebody say, yeah, that's what all cops do. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me. You got to be shitting me. But let's not negate the fact that, and I'm always willing to have these conversations, but if you're going to have a conversation about bad cops and what they do, the first thing I need you to come out your mouth with and say is that the person was innocent. If it's somebody guilty, then the conversation is moot. It's just a moot point. I was watching something the other day. It's crazy. The family got mad at a lady for shooting their son who was breaking into her house.
Correct.
She could have done this. She could have done that. You could have had your badass son not breaking into the fucking house. Let's be real, lady. It ain't his fault, because, again, if I go by what I hear, and what I hear you niggas saying is, oh, if somebody breaking my house, oh, I'm gonna shoot him. I'm gonna drag him through the window, some shit like that. That's what I keep hearing y'all say. I don't hear nobody saying, oh, I'm gonna retreat to a room for safety, and I'm gonna call the cops and just lock myself in a room and wait for them to come in that door. I ain't heard too many people say that, which is the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. But now crooks is getting mad because people shooting at them because they breaking the law. Like, oh, she didn't have to do this, she didn't have to do that. And I'm gonna let Joe talk more about it. Oh, they could have shot him in the leg. You gotta be shitting me. Y'all letting that TJ Hooker shit go to your head. you asking somebody to shoot the smallest part of a moving body when under stress, it's hard enough to hit the biggest portion of the body with a little bitty fucking rock. But you want them to hit the little bitty part? And why would they do this again? Right, there's no reason. Because I'm going to tell you what happened with that again. And then I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to introduce everybody. I'm going to turn it to you. If me or Joe shoot for the leg and we actually hit it, then guess what's going to happen? They're going to go to our training records and show where it says we were taught to shoot center mass. So you know what we did? We intentionally maimed their client. So now we got to face a lawsuit because we shot somebody and now they might be crippled or they're disabled. Now, tell me how much shit sense that made. That we could actually lose our whole career for shooting to hurt somebody because we're not taught to shoot to hurt. And she said, well, they could have did this. Listen, when you watch Law & Order, and trust, I like Law & Order for the storyline, but the show is stupid. It's stupid. And Law & Order is one of my favorite shows. But there is no way Stabler would have been a cop. He beaten somebody every 2-3 shows. He damn sure wouldn't have been a detective, and he damn sure wouldn't have been a cop. This would have never happened. It won't happen. So I need for y'all to get that TV shit out your head. Like I say, they got some great storylines, great. But when you look at the plot, and I get this, what y'all keep watching, y'all want to base everything against. And I saw one of the worst movies of all time, Training Day. Training Day irked my soul. I'm a military guy. I put Training Day right there with Rambo. And I'm going to get off my rant and we're going to get to the show. I was cool with Rambo and all the shit going till he picked up that, what is that? What was the gun he picked up? Understand, this gun is loaded on the helicopters. It has to be picked up by a machine. Ain't no one man picking these guns up and shooting like that's some bullshit. And right. I know y'all young, y'all don't know nothing about napalm. But when somebody drop napalm, you are not outrunning napalm, especially in water. So
No.
I couldn't enjoy the movie for what it was because I've been around both of them and I was like, ain't no way in hell. Then when I watched Training Day, King Kong ain't got that no man. I saw a black man and a white man in a Monte Carlo or whatever the fuck it was, try to execute a search warrant on somebody with no uniforms and a sheet of paper. I was just like, you can't do that shit in the dumbest projects in America. He's just gonna come up, him and a white boy with a sheet of paper. Now he undercover, but they know who he is. And I was just like, ain't none of this shit making sense to me. You're undercover and you're executing a search warrant in a car with a white guy, and people are talking to you like your SWAT team. And I know it was me, because everybody's like, "Oh man, did you see Train Day? How'd you like it?" I said, "Man, I couldn't do it. I couldn't even make it to the end because I just couldn't get past the unrealistic nature of it all. I couldn't. It's like that movie, Black Panther. If I take it as a Marvel movie, I can enjoy it. When they told me it was a good black movie, I couldn't take it. I had to rewatch it a couple of years later, and I enjoyed it as a comic. But as a black movie that's supposed to bring us together, I thought it was one of the worst things going. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the system. With me, I got Joe Mo. That's the man, the myth, the legend. Joe done everything that I couldn't do. He was a police officer. Y'all know I would never be a police because, good Lord, they knock on doors and don't know what the hell going on. They do all kind of good shit. So I'm going to say this. I think sheriffs are bad people, but above us are policemen, not cops, policemen and firefighters, because they do the craziest shit ever and they get away with it. So again, much respect to them, because I would never, ever be a police. Never, ever. Never, ever, ever, ever. When the sheriff goes somewhere, they know where we're going. We know why we're going. We got some information. We don't just, because somebody call 911, sheriffs don't go to the door. We don't call the police. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
sheriffs to the Air Force, the
That's
police
true.
department is the Marines and the Army. I got Mo. He's the author of a book, The Good, the Bad, the Blue, which I got a copy of. It's, let me see if I can get my flex on right quick.
What's the second book? What's the second book?
Hold on. Mine ain't signed either, Joe. No, I know you didn't think you was gonna get away with this. I got the second book.
Joe Mo, you're a troublemaker, man.
It ain't signed. It ain't signed either. So if you get a signed book, it's gonna be hell up or hard.
At least you got a book. At least you got a book.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And Mark, they don't come in coloring books, so you don't worry about it.
and so we got Mark here.
What a number.
Hey, hold on, Joe. See, you got me distracted. Is that Galactus behind you?
Yes, it is.
Damn. See, I can't even focus now.
And we Dr. Doom. Of course, my God, the Doom. There's nothing better than Dr. Doom.
And we got Mark here. Mark wants to be a house husband who doesn't work, but he likes toys that cost money. And he ain't doing this show. I'm glad we got him in a stable environment. But typically doing shows, he's riding around in stolen cars and he's riding around stealing cars. So he's gonna be our resident criminal. So he got questions, Mo got questions, and me and Joe Mo, we're gonna try to answer them. And what we're gonna do is we're not gonna overtalk you. We're not gonna police talk to you and try to confuse you like doctors do. We're gonna try to give it to you in layman's terms. So y'all have met my cast of characters. Mo, do your thing.
All right, y'all. This is what we're gonna do.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. Strap in, baby. You got your strap on?
Yeah,
that didn't come out right. That did not come out right.
It came out right. Yeah. I got my strap on. Even at my desk.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You never know. Because like Denzel said, you never know. You never know.
My wife could come in and crazy.
Yeah. Hey, so this is what we're gonna do, y'all. We've been trying to do a show for a while with what I'm about to set up. We got to do another one too, because this gonna go by so fast. Not even gonna be funny. We're probably gonna hit a few topics, but what we're trying to do is this. I wrote a book, Policing in America, and we got two people who served in the police department. And so what we're gonna do collectively is we're gonna talk about some of the topics in policing. So you get my perspective is the written and research perspective, but then we got some people who actually lived and did it every day. So now you're going to get the two contrasts, and you can ask questions, and we're going to figure out just some of these, like DVP he opened the show up with don't believe all the myths that you see and the stuff you see on TV. Half of that stuff can't even be done, and then if you did do that, you probably get killed. Man, Denzel would have been killed so fast trying to act wilding out like that. Are you kidding me? Y'all know better. So, but anyway, I got a few questions here. I'm gonna start with some questions, but throw some questions. You got some questions? Throw them in the chat. Mark, throw some questions out there, brother, and let's get educated because we all need it. And like I said, I'm gonna have the studious research written perspective, and we got the street perspective. All right. So here's the first question I got. Here's my first question. The mentally challenged. I've seen so many videos where the police have to deal with the mentally challenged and they approach. So this is what I see. I see that they approach everything with the same level of risk. All right, same level of threat. Right, they come in and maybe they got a call on the phone, so they don't really know what they're going into. But until they get there and they get and collect information, then they can decide how to how to modify how they're approaching the situation. But I've seen a couple situations where when they come across mentally challenged people, the mentally challenged people still get handcuffed and they still get prosecuted. So I'm trying to find out. So I'll just give you one example so you guys can have something to reference. I know you guys probably got your own reference, but I'll give you one example. I was watching this video where there was this autistic boy. He was outside his house. He just got there. The dad brought him there. He said, this is where you're going to be staying from now on, son. Go check out your environment. Now, this boy autistic, so he knows some stuff, all right, but he's not all the way there. So he's outside. He kind of doing research. This is what he does. He goes outside. He sees things. He's touching things, this and that. And one of the neighbors saw the boy outside, never seen him before, never seen him in the neighborhood, called the police. Well, the police show up, and what they do is they treat him, they don't know he's autistic, so they treat him like a regular citizen, and they don't really get a clue that there's something wrong with this boy. Whether that's a mistake or not, I'm gonna leave that up to my experts to tell me whether they should be able to determine that, because I don't know police training. I have no idea. And so what they end up doing is they grab the boy, they slam him on the ground because he's not listening. He can't listen. He can't even comprehend what they're saying. So they slam him on the ground. I think they break one of his ribs. And then the dad comes out and the dad's like, "What are you doing? What y'all doing?" And he said, "Well, he was out here sneaking around the house." He said he lives here. This is his house. He's autistic. He can't comprehend like regular people. So he's just, looking at his environment. And they had the boy on the ground, handcuffed, broken rib. And so the question is, I'm gonna stop it right there. And just the question that I have is, did they handle that process correctly? Is there a better way? And is that how it should be done? And then everybody else, y'all can ask y'all questions as well. But I'm gonna let my experts kind of chime in on that, see what they think. And if y'all got questions about it, let me know.
First off, let me correct you on a couple of things. The first thing is that autism and mental retardation are two separate and distinct things.
Right.
Just know that, and see a lot of people don't. The way you handle an autistic person is totally different than the mentally challenged person. And each incident is unique. Trust me when I tell you, it is separate and distinct. I've had some autistic kids, autistic offenders that all you had to do was talk to them in a lower voice. I've had some mentally challenged where they were triggered by anything from a flash to a word or even hearing certain sounds. So you have to be careful as to your approach. The problem was, up until a certain point, police departments weren't really trained in recognizing either one. The other issue, and you can look at the numbers, particularly in the Black community, the number of persons, I take that back, the number of persons on the spectrum has doubled that of the United States.
Wow.
Look at the numbers and you tell me. And in and of that, it's scary. Now, are there certain factors involved in that? Yes, but that's a whole nother show. But I will tell you that in my dealings, that the approach on each one is different. The slamming people on the car is absolutely not the right thing to do. But now here's the other problem you have. You don't know what else goes on in that situation. What the camera may capture may not be what is actually happening. And here's what I mean. I had a person who was a victim of a shooting. He says that the gun was a revolver and he knew it was a revolver because he's looking at it head on so he can see shape. And he also saw the chambers. The witness says that the gun, same color, black gun with blue steel, black gun, but it was flat. The question is, the defense tried to raise the issue that somebody's lying and they're both, one's wrong and one's right, and therefore the client didn't do it. Well, as it turns out, they were both right. And let me tell you why. Perspective. The guy looking from the side can't see curvature. So again, it's a matter of perspective. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that actually happened to me in court. So I can tell you that, again, dealing with the autistic, I'd rather deal with the autistic person or kid than the mentally challenged. I find that, at least in my case, because I'm probably as mentally challenged, like sees like and whatever else. But the autistic, I find that the lower tones and even humor at some time helps. Now, somebody that's in a crisis, you got problems. If they're in the throes of a crisis, there's nothing you're going to do. Only thing you got on your side is time.
Right.
Now, there is another problem because most departments they had this thing. Check this out. I want you all to go and look at this thing called the Kansas City Time Study. It was a time study done in Kansas City, of all places. And they used that study to say across the country how quickly cars and departments should respond. Now, the department they used to profile only had like 10 policemen. So cities like Chicago, New York, Atlanta were responding to a study based on 10-car unit, a 10-car operation. And that's for 24 hours. So now what the Kansas City Time study said was that police officers spend too much time doing this, doing that, when they could spend more useful time doing this, that, and the other. Well, that completely goes against the grain of what policing is, because
Right.
if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you take your time. You can't tell me how quickly I should handle one case as opposed to another case, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. It does. And so Joe, before I go to DP, before I come to you, let me ask Joe this. So Joe, but what about you kind of touched upon it, but what about the mental health assessment piece? Should they be able to, at some point, before somebody gets slammed, or like you said, is that just something that might happen before the kid gets slammed? Should he be able to assess the mental health aspect of the kid?
Unfortunately, because you're in a quick reaction situation, you should be able to make some assessment. It's certainly not going to be on the level of a psychiatrist,
Right.
Or a psychoanalyst, but there should be some type of training provided where you can recognize the signs. And again, if you watch these videos, 98% of these officers have no training and recognition of being in the throes of an episode, whether it be autism or mental retardation.
Right. Now I understand that. Yep. All right. So DVP, I ask you the same thing, and then Joe, when I'm coming back to you, I'm gonna ask you, how can we improve in this area? But so DVP, what's your thoughts on that, man?
Okay. and this is what people don't want to accept, and it sucks because they want to shift blame. When you as the family member should know whether or not the person has something. When you don't divulge that information, when you make the phone call, you put everybody at risk. as it stands right now, the cops only get a call about the crime and what's going on. They don't get, there's no mental evaluation breakdown. So if the caller doesn't say, hey, my son has this issue, that issue, whatever, then how should the cop know? How should he know? So what metric are we using to say that the cop should know this or should respond to something that he has no clue about? He sees a person in distress, and for shits and giggles, I want y'all to tell me the difference. What's the difference between a normal man who wants to kill you because he's pissed versus somebody who's having a psychotic episode who wants to kill you because he's in a mental state?
Right.
Well, as a trainer and Joe's a police chief, there's one thing that we teach every cop: come back safe. We don't teach you to try to make sure everybody else is happy first. Your job is to come back safe. So when the situation comes and you got a guy who's having an episode versus a guy who is just, for lack of a better term, fucking pissed, what's the difference when they are a threat to somebody else?
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's only a threat to these people. Let me use a different level of force because he doesn't know what he's doing. Well, at the end of the day, dead is dead. Whether he meant to do it or not, dead is dead. So the cop is already put in a no-win situation, unfortunately.
Can I add one thing to that, DV?
Go ahead, sir.
The one piece that's left out of this is when they make that call, if the 911 call taker is not trained and they don't pass that, so you got to remember something.
Yeah. No, that's it. That's
Officers respond to what they're given.
That's right.
So if you don't give me the parameters, then I don't know how to. For instance, I've been on calls, domestic calls, and domestic was our number one killer of policemen. And I actually had one where the lady said, I told them my husband had a gun. So when I get back to the station, I call dispatch because those calls, number one, they have to be recorded. Number two, you have to make them part of your case file. So I called back and said, why didn't you tell us this guy had a gun? And here's what pissed me off more than anything else. She didn't tell me that. Well, guess what the tape showed? So there's that. So
wow, that's heavy, man. So yeah, that's one of the things. So like making sure when you go into a call, if you have the pertinent information, I'm sure that's key. So Mark, coming to you, man.
Hold on. Let me finish.
Go ahead, DVP.
And see, even when Joe handed at it, because even if the now operator knows, so much is dependent on the person who's calling. When you look at the people who call about these guns, and the cops should have knew it was a fake gun. Well, one, cops don't get calls of fake guns. If somebody sees a gun because parents brought their shit a real looking gun, the call comes in. It is what it is. So we're throwing a lot, and I know you said it's going to be the next question, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it in there. As people, if we truly want to be more responsive to this, as opposed to putting more on the cops, because you can train us all you want to. Trust me, I'm a trainer, but I still got to address what I see, because the only thing that's going to happen is people will abuse the system and they'll start saying everybody is having an episode. An episode means, in theory, an episode means I'm the one who's in the most danger, because everything I do will be scrutinized. Not the patient who didn't take his medicine, not the parents who didn't force their child to take the medicine, not the other parents or relatives who didn't force the child to get real care. They just sat back and let this go on. They let them mix medicine. Everything would be based on what I do. And it's like when I tell you I went to the house and the guy was walking around with a hatchet. And the mother said, if you can, don't shoot him. Well, he's got a fucking hatchet, lady. I don't know if you know what a hatchet is, but you can throw a hatchet and do extreme damage. There's no way for me to get close to him without putting myself in harm's way. I'm in a house. It's got long hallways. We call these fatal funnels. I got to walk down this hallway. There's no way for him to really miss me if he wants to throw this hatchet at me. You want me not to hurt him, but he's got a hatchet and he's willing to. You scared of him and he's your son. What do you think I am? So, but part of what we could do to help the situation out, so that it's not even as big an issue when they come. You know how cars used to come with low jack? If people are truly diagnosed with a condition, why not put a chip in them so that it pops up whenever we're around one of them, and we know a little bit more then. Because even as they come up with these new plans where they're gonna put a crisis officer with the cop. It sounds cute until that crisis personnel gets shot or stabbed. Then guess what? It's going to be out the window. Yep. That's all it's going to take is for one of them to get hurt while we're sitting back negotiating with them, and they rush and they come with that knife. I don't know if any knife, 21 feet. Knife is way more dangerous than a gun while everybody's trying to talk. So then once that happens, they're going to say, well, the cop should have stood there and got stabbed first, which ain't going to happen. So it's like, how do we mitigate the situation and put the blame, and that's a bad word, but it's the right word, put the blame truly back where it is. Joe know, like I know, 90% of what we get comes from the caller. 90%. And we can train the 911 operator to ask a lot of things, but the 911 operator is trying to get us there. Well, they need to ask, well, are they on medication? When was the last time they took medication? What is the medication for? All this is shit that in reality, we don't have time to process. And if there's a true emergency going on and somebody's life is at risk, well, I don't want to shoot him because he's on some psychedelic meds. So is that an excuse? According to the code book, being on psychedelic meds ain't an excuse to commit a crime. I mean, it'll keep you from getting the chair maybe, but it's still a crime. So go ahead.
All right. So now I'm going to Mark. So Mark, here's my question. So Mark, because I don't know the answer to this. Did you serve, or are you a civilian like me?
I'm a civilian.
You're a civilian.
A criminal.
So this is. So you've been in prison, all right? So you've been in prison. So Mark been in prison. So I'm asking.
No, that's a convict. Mark has been in jail. So he ain't been in prison.
Hey, so here's the question to you, Mark, because this is one of the things I was thinking about with this same situation. Here's what I was thinking about. And you tell me, give me your thoughts on it. Then I'm gonna go back to the experts. So one of the things I was thinking about is they could probably come up with this crazy idea. You probably come up with, let's say, a wristband, right? And a wristband that's controlled through the medical and policing organizations, right? So it's a control item, right? And the only people that get those are the people like this boy. So now on site, you can see that he got a problem. And so I don't know. Do you think that would help? Just talking to you, Mark, and you can comment on the other stuff too if you want.
Yeah, that would. I think in an ideal world, yes, that would help. At least they would have better information, or at least a knowledge of what they're up against when they see it. But what happens when they don't wear it or they take it off?
Yeah,
and now they out there and they like, oh, well, they got the bank, they got the wristband, but it's not on. I think that the police still gonna be at fault for whatever the outcome may be if it isn't in the other people's favor.
So on that note, so I'm gonna throw my opinion on that. And then Joe, I know Joe got something to say because he kind of chuckled. I know what he's gonna say, but I'm gonna go back to it. But this is what I would say. In my opinion, though, I agree with you, Mark. But in my opinion, if you don't put the wristband on your child, then the liability is off of law enforcement, because you have something to say. This kid has a problem. This child has a problem, and if it's not on them, that's not on the child. That's not on the police department. That's on you as a parent. So that's. I'm gonna leave that there. Go ahead, Joe. You had a thought.
Yeah, there's a problem with that, and let me tell you something. I've worked in the educational system too. I've also been an adjunct professor, and I've taught. The problem with while that's a great idea, the problem is that a lot of and let's just talk about kids right now, is that a lot of the kids their parents refuse to put them in placement. They're called IEPs.
IEP. Yeah.
So a lot of the parents don't allow them, even though they know the kid is. So there's a problem there. The other issue is who's at the other end of that button. So then it becomes, it's kind of like the red badge of courage or the scarlet letter.
Scarlet letter.
Yeah, scarlet letter. And now we're showing our age. But this would be a badge of dishonor for a lot of kids. Because now, just as the kid didn't like that term, and you see it in the chat, I changed that title to intellectual disability.
Right.
You can't call them those words.
Right.
I was sitting again, true story. I'm sitting at the table, and somehow we were joking. I was telling the family about something that happened at work, and I turned around and called one of my coworkers a retard. My daughter put her silverware down
Oh
and
God.
proceeded to give me a lecture
Woo.
about how that is not a good word and how she volunteers at school to work with kids that are, as she said, handicapped at the time. And I've never used that word again.
Wow. Yeah. Got it. Facts. Makes sense. All right, y'all. We're gonna go to the next one. I got another question here.
Why ain't get that? Why ain't you gonna
Go ahead, DVP. You the man. Go ahead, man.
you can't do what you're suggesting because it makes them stand out. That's why I said if we're gonna do something, it has to be the chip. It's kind of like they want to do something with ID cards. You can't do nothing to make people become that publicly announces their disability.
Got it. Yeah.
That will never fly. Sounds good, and that's why I say the best thing going would be a microchip. That way, it could be in police cars when they're around people who have dissociative personalities or any kind of mental ailments or whatever. It'll pop up on their screen and they can see, and that way they know that something they need to do something, or they need to call in somebody else first and let them take the brunt of it. Because I'm gonna speak for Joe. I'm gonna ask Joe a question. Wouldn't it be great if your officers knew that they were coming up on one of these situations and they got to sit back and wait for somebody else? And I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. The same thing with the fire department and the ambulance. They don't go in the scenes unless the police make it safe.
Correct.
So guess what? These people will still be they'll be ballless because they still want the police to make it safe, and the police can't make it safe for them to come in there and do their job. So it's again for the cops, it's pretty much a lose-lose situation. You know, I gotta, because if I can make the situation safe, then Joe, do I really need this crisis intervention person?
Nope.
So what's the purpose? I mean, it's good now that we go to crisis intervention and the conversation is much more open, but it's gonna be like everything. Everybody's gonna start saying they're going through something to get the police to de-escalate. And again, it ain't gonna take but one or two police getting shot before they ditch the whole program.
Yep.
Because you're still not gonna be able to tell us to put ourselves at risk because somebody says they has an issue. That's why I'm saying the chip, because now it's got to be medically approved, as opposed to just people just saying, "Oh, my son is this, my son is bipolar, my son is this, my daughter is this," because everybody's that's gonna be the first line they go to.
Right. Yeah.
When there's a DV call, we are. DV is the most violent call. Now I got a DV situation with somebody who has a condition. So what am I supposed to do? Well, should I let him continue to beat his wife until he calms down, until the medication kick in? Are we supposed to carry blow darts around and be like, and what are we supposed to do? Well, you should have did. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback.
Correct.
So, but doing that, what do we do? What do we do while Mark is getting his head bashed in by somebody who is going through an episode? Mark wants us to stop them. Our job is to stop them. Oh, but he has a condition. Well, according to science, if we stop them, then we stop the condition and Mark is safe. But that ain't what the public wants to hear.
Right.
And like I said, it sucks if we speak freely about it because we're also supposed to be compassionate. But Joe has a responsibility to all the officers under his command. The mayor is responsible for the citizens, not the police chief.
Facts. All right, so here's a good one. This happened several times. You guys probably know people who got killed in these circumstances, but I want to know your thoughts on how we can improve the wrong apartment raids. The wrong apartment gets raided frequently, and people get killed.
Let me stop you on a couple of issues. I want you to notice who does that. And you might see something unique. Because I'll tell you, I've served warrants. And a couple of things we had to do was prior to that execution of that warrant, someone had to sit on that address for 24 hours.
Gotcha.
You had to verify through various sources. And you had to verify to the exclusion of possible wrong address. So
Wow.
we had to do what's called trash pulls. We had to do dumpster diving, sit on the house. We had to do the utility checks, mail checks. I mean, not at the time the statute of limitations is over. Yes, I stole mail, but it was for the warrant. I had to show that address on the warrant and show it to the judge or whatever else. And all those things have to happen. You just don't. Again, this ain't TV. Darren, you said something earlier, and I gotta say this. Probably the most truest, if there's such a word, movie I've ever seen was Deep Cover with Larry Fishburne. And
That was a great movie.
And that happened to me, but that's, again, a story for another day. That was one of my lives that I've done. I've seen that in that action. I've seen that actually happen. I mean, look at Serpico. That's a real man. That happened to him. I've seen it happen. I know it happens. But again, I'm digressing. But as far as the warrants go, again, I want you to look at who's doing that. And you'll find you'll just find it very interesting. And particularly in these days where police are being sued, why would you take the chance of hitting the wrong door when you have the opportunity to verify everything?
So Joe, Joe, I'll go back to you, Joe. So just identify the process that should happen so that doesn't happen. What should happen so that doesn't happen?
Oh man, I can't give away the state secrets, but I'll say this.
Well, that's fine.
I'm no longer in the field. What should happen is what I said before. You verify all the information, you verify the facts, you identify the targets of the warrant. You have to go and take all that information. You're the affiant. That's why you're called the affiant. You have to attest to that in front of a judge, and what we have is a state's attorney. So they have to see everything you've got, your probable cause. And normally when I did a search warrant, I gave 3 incidences of why this warrant should be executed, not one. So because there's some that only give one piece of probable cause. Then I give the circumstances why I'm going after this person. This person is wanted for he's a serial. We believe him to be a serial rapist. We've got DNA evidence linking him to X amount of cases, blah, blah. And then I'll list the cases. Then I'll have, if I don't do it, I'll have one of the team members sit on that house for 24. And the day of, now here's the thing of, the day of, we make sure that there's an ambulance on standby. We've got routes to hospitals. We've got, if we had helicopter support, we make sure that air support is up. We also make sure that there's coverage on all doors, so we don't have what's called friendly fire. We make sure who goes in what position. We make sure that we've got all our equipment checked out, whether it be shields, what kind of shoes you wear, what else you're carrying, flashlight, flash bangs, and again, what kind of rounds you're carrying. So all that goes into it should go into the basic warrant execution.
So DVP, what's your thoughts on this? And then I want to add also, from what Joe was saying, there's a kind of there should be a verification process, and so now we know the person lives there. How does the process go wrong?
Let me, and just because training is my background, I'm gonna say this. It's not the process. There's a thing that we talk about repeatedly: negligent retention, negligent entrustment, negligent training. Once in law enforcement and government, everybody likes to say the shit roll downhill, but it doesn't. One of the reasons I never took a promotion, because legally speaking, as the lowest man on the totem pole, I don't have to know shit. You can't make me. I don't care how smart you think I am, but you know who you can make know something? The sergeant and the lieutenant. And all it takes is for you to fire or demote one of them, and everything changes. And we're talking to you, Minnesota, because Minnesota keep doing shit wrong. How many times can you do the same thing wrong, Minnesota? Minnesota been on the news, hell, for the past 2-3 years. It's like every other week, Minnesota is doing something. Well, if they were to come in and discipline the police chief or get rid of him, and then shit will change. I mean, because I hear the system that Joe is talking about, and I love it, but no, because there's a supervisor who's over the affiant who should make sure all this is done. I've been on task force where before we can even apply for a search warrant, you have to go through your team. And there are 2 people on the team that no matter what information you give them, they're supposed to tell you what's wrong with it so that all of that is covered ahead of time. We take pictures of the place. We've got videos of the place. Anytime the warrant is executed, whether it's by us, whether it's by SWAT or some high-risk team, the affiant is the driver of that vehicle. He drops them off at the appropriate place. That way there's no misunderstanding. When I drop SWAT off, I say, hey, we finna pull up on the address where I drop y'all off. All y'all gotta do is take 2 steps to the left, run through the bushes. It's that green house. Because sometimes in terminology, if I say the first house, are we talking about from the street sign? Because, some house on the corner. So that's why we make the affiant drive. So that way there is no confusion. Because if you're doing them at night, you may or may not see the numbers. Hell, a lot of places don't have the numbers, or especially in the hood, they take the nail out. So 6s become 9, 9 becomes 6s, yada, yada, yada. This is a managerial problem. This is a supervision problem, because the new guy, whether he mean good or bad, he can't do none of that without approval of somebody else. There is no line officer who can make this decision summarily to do this on his own. There had to be somebody in cahoots with him. What is it? US 42, 1983, I think is RICO for cops. There had to be more people in on this, and if they didn't do their job, then they should be punished for this, because this is something that certain agencies don't ever have this problem, and then certain agencies have this problem repeatedly, and that's what I say. And it's funny when Joe kept saying, look at who's doing it. I guarantee you will see the same repeat offenders over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And what's happening is they're making sergeant, they're making training officer, they're making lieutenant. That's a departmental issue. And not to hijack your thing, but the dude who, what's the dude that killed George Floyd?
Chauvin.
Look at Chauvin's folder. He had 19 use of forces complaints.
Yeah.
Three of them were about that knee on the neck, which is a technique they taught at their academy. So in defense of him, he did nothing wrong. He used police approved techniques. And do you know what happened after the trial? They stopped teaching it. It was quiet as kept, but they stopped teaching it. But they were taught this technique. He taught this technique. He was found innocent of using this technique because it was taught. That wasn't, as much as I want to blame him for so much, if you let your kid break a window and you buy them a Honda, what you think will happen again? They're going to break another one and get a Toyota, and they're going to break a third one and get a BMW. You're teaching that breaking this window is okay. So was he the problem, or was Minnesota PD the problem? And in that instance, if I'm being a critical thinker, Chauvin was not the problem. It was everybody. He had to meet with the police chief who promoted him.
I say all the above.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's multiple things. Hey, so Mark, you heard the feedback. Mm-hmm. So this procedure, they said there's procedures in place that's supposed to prevent these mistakes. What's your thoughts? You seen this stuff happen. What's your thoughts?
It happens, and I think that is intentional. Because like you say, I grew up in the Red Dog era, and they did what they wanted to do, whether it was right or wrong. So I was accustomed to seeing them doing wrong. So with them saying all the procedures that you have to go through to get a warrant, it has to be done intentional to go to the wrong place. Especially with the what's the lady in
Breonna Taylor.
I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about the one here. Oh, Catherine Johnson.
Oh, Neil Street.
Yeah.
92-year-old
lady. They kick in the door, and she did the only thing she knew how to do: shoot. I don't blame her, but they definitely at the wrong house, and there's no way you can say that 92-year-old lady was moving dope.
Well, and let me correct you. They were at the right house. They lied on the whole paperwork. They were at the house that was identified.
Okay.
It just never happened there. But they had everything looked good until you got into the paperwork. No drug deal ever occurred there, which 2 officers swore to. No CI ever went there, which 2 officers swore to. So everything looked fine until that old lady had that dusty 38 and she shot at them because there was no reason for the cops to be coming in her house. And again, but that's one of them things that we do raids. And by our own standard, when a team shows up, first of all, we got area blocked off because as soon as entry is made, the first thing we do is cut on lights and sirens so that everybody knows that the cops are there. Because you can't do it under color of darkness in the middle of the night. Because there's no way, and I'm gonna use Joe. Me and Joe both cops. When somebody bashing our door, we don't give a shit about them hollering cop, police. It better be some blue lights and sirens or something going off to deactivate our survival first mindset. Because that will slow us down. But just you busting my house on the police, man, get the fuck out of here. Oh, we shooting. We shooting. I mean, hell, one of our guys who got a shield, his shield actually has a blue light on it. So that when he comes through, the blue light is flashing. Theoretically, you can't buy them over the counter. You have to be part of an agency. They only some of the agencies, not even the individuals. So theoretically, that makes it a little bit safer. But there are things that I tell people, just because somebody holler police, don't be stopping for that shit. They're not in the marked car. They don't have things you can readily identify, not just a uniform. But what APD did was technically by the book. They just lied the whole while. Again, that goes to supervisors. Did a supervisor check on any of this? Nope. He just took their word for it and signed off on it.
Well, and again, the Breonna Taylor is even better. The fact is that the night that they hit Breonna Taylor's house, their SWAT unit who performed, now that's the other thing. See, certain departments have dedicated search warrant teams. So if you're the task force or whatever, that's all they do. Give us warrants, whatever, search or arrest, whatever. That's all we want. So in Breonna Taylor's case, their team was up, and it's on record. The team captain said, "Oh no, not those guys. The ones that were executing. They were a stick-up crew. That's all they did." And again, wrong place. If you read the warrant and you read the rest of it, and I'm so disappointed in that attorney selling out of court like that. But that's another story. It's another story for another day.
All right, so we're gonna Mark, I'm coming to you, Mark. So this scenario. Then I'm going to Joe and DVP. This scenario, Mark. I want to hear what you got to say. It was a circumstance. Circumstances are that a mother locked her 16-year-old son out of the house because this cat was in the house terrorizing the younger kids. So her younger kids, this guy was picking on them, terrorizing them, causing all kind of hell. So she locked him out, told him, you got to go find somewhere else to stay. You can't stay here no more. The police show up. The police tell the mom, you can't lock him out because he's 16. This is where he lives. He has to stay here. And at the end, the mom was telling him, listen, mom was pleading her case saying, look, this dude is terrorizing my house. I kicked him out because at the expense of my other kids, he got to go. In the end, police took the mom to jail. What's your thoughts, man?
Oh, that's terrible. That because at that point she's crying out for help, and arresting her is not the help that she needs. Although, if she'd had maybe a better hand at discipline as he was growing up, then it may not have been to that situation. But arresting her was not going to help the case at all. Now
Mark, you just completely skipped the question, man. So what do you do?
What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
You don't arrest the mom.
That ain't answered the question, though.
They need to take the kid.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Civilian. So
cut it out, Joe. Cut it out. Cut it out, Joe. Cut it out, Joe.
That's how I feel.
Hey, DVP, yank your dog, man. Yank him.
Hey, he's a chief. I'm a line. I'm a soldier. He's a chief.
Oh, okay.
no,
Let him bite like Top Dog Law.
No. I'm good, Mo. I'm sorry.
Okay, Joe Mo.
I'm sorry, Mark.
No, go ahead. Top Dog Law.
All right, Joe. Joe, what? So what's up with this circumstance, man? How do you handle this, man? What goes on?
Here's the problem. Everything he said, it sounds good, and purely a community activist will come up with that. He should have shot him in the leg, you know. But in those cases, there are no clear answers because the police are only allowed to do X amount of things. Should we have access to certain type of social service? Well, then now you're moving from police work into a whole different area. So what should have happened is that the mother should have called social service and said, look, I need some help. Because this is not a police matter. See, here's the problem. We're not going to arrest ourselves out of the situation. We're not. That's proven. Everything is not a police response. However, because of the society we live in, the first line of response is police. And then when the when the blame comes down, oh, it's them no good policemen. Wait a minute. Next time, call a gangbanger. I mean, but everybody wants the police until the police do their job. And their job is immediate response and to immediately do something as opposed to nothing. And that's where it gets twisted.
And this will be a good time to get everybody under the 911 umbrella. When the parent calls 911, the 911 operator should have a bunch of resources that they can connect them to. But guess what? It's only 3 or 4 that's 24/7. Police, fire, and ambulance. So when she calls at 2 a.m, even though there's nobody for her to talk to, this is where we may need to spend a little bit more time into social services so that somebody's always there so they can at least take a message and make sure they responded to. Because there is no after hours responding for this. If this happens, then what? You're gonna get the cops. The cops, unfortunately, they will never be trained psychologists. It won't be what they do. They won't be, it's great when you get somebody who can, when we see all these great cop stories about cops who go above and beyond, it's great when we see those. But again, if we're being honest, for every good cop that they show, Joe get a call about an officer wasting time and not answering calls.
Easy.
So when the cop decides to take this little kid to get him some food or get him some clothes to wear so he won't be bullied at school, that's an hour or two he could have been answering phone calls. So
and he's violating orders. That's another thing.
So it's like, and people don't understand the dilemma that you put cops in if they do, and this is just a realism. For every cop that does good, and me and Joe want to congratulate them. But if a citizen complains about they weren't doing their job, guess what? They're right. They weren't doing their job. So now what do? Do we punish the cop who stopped and played basketball with the kids and gave them a life lesson? Great fucking thing. But when somebody calls and say, hey, there's a cop car that's sitting up there, he playing basketball with the kids goofing off. Joe got to do something. He can't say, good job, you kept the kids from doing this. You had a long talk with them. I appreciate you being, officer friendly. But damn, I pay you to answer calls, not shoot jumpers. And people are complaining now. What is Joe supposed to do? And this is what people keep wanting to put cops in the double-edged sword. And this is what I hate, because we see those stories a lot about cops who do something, cops who, take parents to the grocery store. They go to the grocery store and come back with $100 worth of food in a cop car on a cop clock. And it's a great thing. And I don't ever want to diminish it. But when somebody complains, Joe is caught between a rock and a hard place. Because what does he do? Does he tell every cop to do that? And now when the call goes unanswered because this cop is he's doing something other than fighting crime or patrolling the neighborhood. Well, he keeping the community safe. That's cute, but not at the grocery store. You're doing this. Go ahead.
True story. I had 2 detectives. They were out doing a follow-up on a homicide. They stop in a park and start doing water guns and Nerf guns with some kids, and they get filmed. I get 2 calls. One from the city administrator saying, what the hell are you doing? The other one from the mayor saying, man, is that a great PR piece?
What a contrast.
And forgive me for my verbiage, but talk about being caught between a rock and a hard place, shit to get off the stool. So I'm like, da. But when they came in, And they didn't even know they had been filmed. And that's the thing, you know, there's a camera everywhere. This thing went viral. So when the detectives get back in, you know, they're trying to drive and trying to make like, oh shit, oh, here comes the boss. And I hope it. I went up to him and said, hey man, that was great. He said, oh man, you saw it already? I'm like, yeah, I saw it. And so did the mayor. The first kid started shaking. He's like, do we have a job still? Yeah, man, you did all right. Good job. But for me, the point was telling them and backing them up to the point of saying, hey man, that was a great job. Even if the mayor didn't say it, I was going to tell you anyway. Great job. Do the voodoo that you do so well, black man. And it's interesting because one of the guys was a Gulf War vet, a tanker of all things. And, you know, when he sat down with me afterwards, he was almost in tears saying, you know, I thought I was going to be in trouble. I'm like, no, man, you're good. You're good. Because his PTSD was kicking in. And all he was thinking about, because he has a young kids, he said, all I was doing was having a good time. I said, man, look, I got no problem with that. Keep doing it. You know, we'll take it. You handle the big stuff, I handle the little stuff. How about that?
Facts.
But that's true shit.
No question. So, Mark, what's your thoughts on this, man? You know, you got two kids, one of them younger in the house with you. Your teen keeps coming back, terrorizing and causing problems in your home, man. You locking them out? What you doing?
First of all, I wouldn't never let it get that bad from the start.
Right.
From the rearing from a child to up until that point. But if it gets to a point where you can't handle them anymore, then you gotta have that conversation and say, hey, you want to be an adult? You just gonna do it on the other side of this door.
She tried that. She locked them out.
That's what I'm saying.
And she went to jail for it. So that's the dilemma here.
See, and he's still gonna be homeless when she bond out.
And let me
can't be here.
Let me just put this out there. What's as a father? What are Mark's legal requirements? See, because right now Mark's saying he's going to jail.
Yeah, well,
because legally speaking, the child is a minor. Who's responsible for minor children?
Parents.
The parent.
That's the law. So
That's
you can't lock your minor child out. You can't. I don't care how bad or disruptive they are. You cannot. You can call the cops and have them locked up, but you can't lock them out. Am I wrong, Joe?
No, you're exactly right.
That's what I saw. That's what I saw in the video.
And that's universal. I don't care you could be in the state of confusion. It remains the same. The law remains the same. Juveniles have extended rights.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Unless you're going through the process to try to have them
emancipated.
It costs everything is on you. And it's funny. See, this is where it's funny to me because now everybody want to claim ignorance. Ignorance is no excuse of the law. If I can't say it, you can. You know the child yours, so you should know what it takes to be a parent. And it's crazy. And because I look nowhere in anything that they teach you about parenting do they explicitly say you are responsible for your child. You can't just do certain things. You can't lock them out. You can't not feed them. You can't. There's a lot of shit you can't do, or it's child abuse.
Correct.
It's child abuse. Forget paddling and spanking. It's a whole lot of other shit that you're mandated to do as a parent. And guess who knows those things? Cops do. Yep. So when you don't do certain things, well, what should the cop do? Well, you saying you were gonna feed him because he was a little badass and he broke this and he broke that. Well, them breaking dishes, according to what I read in the law, is no excuse not to feed them. them slapping the shit out of their brother and sisters, no legal excuse not to feed them. You still gotta feed them. You just should have called the cops on them. You should have done something, but not feeding them and locking them out like Dino. Because guess what? We're gonna lock your ass up and we're gonna let them back in the house.
And guess what else starts after that? Children and Family Services.
Yeah.
Again, universal across the country. So now you get locked up. Your kids now get taken by DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services. You now have 2 court cases.
Yeah.
And possibly 3. Because now you're going to face neglect, abandonment, abuse, and then the police, the criminal charges.
And here's a secret, ladies and gentlemen. most cops would rather not ever have to deal with kids in the juvenile system. That's a
correct.
5-hour task. We would do anything in our power not to lock up a juvenile. Anything.
You rather do a DUI arrest.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes lock up an adult. It's 5 hours to lock up a child.
Easy.
It's 5 hours. Easy.
Wow, that's crazy.
They can be standing with a murder weapon with 20 victims. Once he say he 14, it's like, shit. Did your mama give you the gun? I don't want to do this.
You have to give him an attorney.
Yeah. No, you got to use the padded cuffs on him. You got to take him by Chuck E. Cheese. You got to let him look at the Sears toy book. You got to be really nice to these kids. If it's his mom and his dad, you can just now you can throw them up against the car and say, "Dumbass, why didn't you do this?" But the child, man, he's like, "Do you need to slap your daddy too? Go ahead and get your slap in. Ain't nothing else I can do to you." Because they afforded so many rights, and parents got to know this. Hell, you the one set him off. You're the reason he killed his sister because you wouldn't feed him. It's your fault now.
Yeah. All right, so Mark, I'm coming to you first, man. This is
Don't do Mark. Mark already getting everybody locked up.
Mark,
I'm already in jail again.
Ain't nobody getting locked up on this one. You won't get nobody locked up, Mark. All right, so check this out. This is because I went to Mark because I know how I think about it. I want to see, another civilian, how they think about it before we get you guys involved.
Another nut job.
So there was this is the case, man. There was a Florida man spent 34 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. He received $1.7 million when compensation when they let him out. This part is my personal opinion. So this is what we kind of talking about. I personally don't think this is enough. And this is why, because this doesn't fix the system that put him in jail in the first place. So this doesn't improve the legal process, from the prosecution to the judge. Doesn't do any of that. So my question is this: shouldn't there be like a post-mortem process that goes along with any case that is overturned after a certain amount of years with a big award, injustice, big award and injustice, or any level of injustice? But there should be some kind of post-mortem and some repair, because they don't. I have not seen, I want to know here from the experts. I really want to know from this, but I have not seen any quote unquote systemic repair from the prosecution side. And when I say prosecution, I mean judges, lawyers, whatever, the process. I don't see any repair in that space. So what you think, Mark?
One couple things. One, the compensation ain't enough. I gave you 34 years of my life, which is probably some of the worst conditions ever. Definitely need more than 1.7 million. The next thing about the reform, I'm not sure how you do reform. And I get that from, I sat on a murder trial about 3 years ago, no, before COVID. But I sat on a murder trial. And one of the reasons they asked, why do I want to be on the jury? I say, because I want to see the process of how people are convicted or get off. And at the time, the biggest one on my mind was Zimmerman. I saw the trial, I saw how he got off. So when I sat on that murder case, when I went to deliberation that Thursday, that nigga guilty. He guilty. One of the ladies in the jury, I'm talking about, we're in the deliberation, and now that hand went up so quick.
Probably
about 5 or 6 of us hands went up quick. And once we start discussing it, to realize that the prosecution never, without a reasonable doubt, proved that he was the murderer. But I gathered my information from his attorney. Off the rip, tried to persuade us to self-defense. But everything about the murder itself was never proven to put it on him. So in my mind, I believe that I did truly let a guilty person go free based on the evidence that I was given. So I don't see how you can reform that system of somebody actually being convicted when it's the evidence that's presented before them. So mine was just a reverse role.
So I get that, but that's not really the question on the table. Is post-mortem, after the fact, right? After the fact, okay, let's say You guilty, man. He going to prison. You in prison now, right?
Mhm.
And so the question is, how do you improve the legal process? So if somebody was innocent, they went to prison, they were innocent, but they went to prison anyway, because the process did its thing, and that's what the outcome was. But now they get out. And you see all the fact that there was prosecutorial misconduct, all kind of stuff, things that just didn't add up. So because he got out for a reason. He didn't get out because he's a good guy and he did good time. He got out for a reason, a legal reason. So my question is, what should there be, or what is the postmortem process to improve the system when those things happen?
You would definitely have to look directly at what was the reason for overturning the case.
Right.
If it was something done illegally, then the reform would be to go after that person with the law. For legal reasons, go after, if it's the defendant, I mean, if it's the defense attorney doing a terrible job, I don't know, how do you correct that? You know, if it's a public pretender that's overworked and undercompensated, it's gonna be like that to the end of time. How do you correct those issues? That I don't know. You know, now if it's the prosecutor withholding evidence and things like that, then you would prosecute them. I can see that, but I don't have a real good reason as to how do you correct that issue.
Anybody else? Go ahead. Look,
Let me just-
Joe, you look that the pot is about to boil over, man.
You saw him raise up in that chair.
Let me say this right quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I found out something that really amazed me. You know, for a lot of these settlements they come up with when people get out of jail, they based on your earning potential at the time you got arrested.
Wow.
So if you were unemployed or making below average wages, they calculate that over the time that you've been incarcerated, and that's why a lot of these are so low versus somebody who actually had a life or career. They based on your calculated life earnings based on where you were. And I thought that was funny, not funny, but it was funny that that's what a lot of them do, because then it's a lottery system, and it's one of those things where, you know, as we're trying to perfect the system, and the system will never be perfected. It can be made better, but anytime, like what Mark was talking about with the jury, you're asking 12 people to believe something while you're asking them to acknowledge or true something. There are laws, which is what the jury system is based on, but people can't get over certain biases. And sometimes you know what you know, and it takes a lot to understand that, hey, the DA didn't do their job, or that this person should have never been arrested, even though you know in your heart of hearts this person is guilty. You can look at them, they're guilty, but that's not how the system works. So we have to find something that will appease everybody, because some people won't convict people. They've said it. If it's a death penalty case, they'll never convict them. So that system in and of itself, but when we go back to the arrest, system, I like Project Innocence and some of the things they stand for, but if you want to make the system a whole lot better, make Project Innocence a whole thing where even before certain cases go through, somebody from Project Innocence, because they believe everybody's innocent, they would have defended Charles Manson. Once it's going to take a long time, but what are we doing now? Hell, it takes some murder cases 5-10 years before they go to jail. So what is adding another safe layer in there if we want to make sure that we're getting things right the first time? But if we're going to do it right, and I lived overseas, I can say this with 100% put my chest out. When people commit crimes, if we gave up on this rehabilitation bullshit and we punish criminals, crime will go down. There's no other country that has crime like we have, because we keep preaching rehabilitation. When you go to Saudi, when you go to Russia, there's no such thing as repeat offenders. If them people get out after the first time, they become great Christians. Remember them boys that was a Korea China, the ones that they came that was stealing that shit? And
no.
Have you heard from them again?
Chewing gum, yeah.
Yeah, but have them Alonzo boys done anything else since they had that little incident overseas? They don't fuck around. There's no such thing as a repeat offender. There's no such thing as, somebody, well, he got out. When you get out, you're going straight to the monastery. You're finna become a great person. Only in America do we have these same things over and over and over again, because we don't do crime. And it makes it hard because sometimes, especially with us, if we catch somebody, we'll punish us for a litany of crimes, and we don't mind pushing the envelope a little to the right so we can get away with stuff. Some cops are overzealous. Hell, I met some DAs I had DAs fuss at me about why wouldn't I go along with what they want to do to prosecute somebody. Well, yeah, the guy was there at the drug house. He was. But this guy was the least innocent. You want to prosecute him the most because he's the least innocent and he has the least dog him. He can't afford an attorney. He's really saucy. He was truly in the wrong place at the wrong time. He can't speak for himself. So everybody at the house is like, hey, let's pick on, I'm going to use the word Joe said, let's pick on the retarded kid. Who can defend themselves? And when you look at some of these people who are being released, look at them at the time of incarceration. They got their education in prison. They couldn't speak well. Nobody spoke for them. You look at some of these young people who were held, 24, 30, 36, 48 hours without water, without being able to go to the bathroom. They didn't know how to talk. They learned everything in prison because there was no system to protect them because they were the weakest link. And most of these people we're talking about were the weakest links. There has to be something in place where there's a group for them too. Right now, the group is for white Christian nationalists. It's for those who have money, and it's for those who scream the loudest. But we could arrest underprivileged kids who are soft-spoken all day long and get away with it. They don't have a clue. So to make the system better, we gotta enable a group of people who, unfortunately, who are always looking for innocence to balance out the side of cops who believe everybody's guilty.
Yeah, good point. So Joe, what you think? You want me to run that question again?
No, I got it.
He rubbed his mustache, so I know he got something.
I'll say this first off, and Mark, don't repeat this, but thank you for serving. Don't tell anybody I like you now, because I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. But I'll say this: the issue, at least from my purview, when having been investigating crimes, the issue for me is not only prosecutorial misconduct, but judicial misconduct. See, everybody wants to blame the police, but we can only do so much. And let's take a murder case, or any case. You give the prosecutor what you got. They then tell you, hey, we've got, this is what we need extra, and you have to go follow their lead. Now, once it goes to court, now it's in a whole different system. It's out of our hands. It's now in the hands of those people who know how to speak a certain language. I mean, it's like me going to China and trying to speak Mandarin. Well, I can't speak it. Much like those fools come into court, sovereign citizen talking about I'm pro se on this. There's no such thing. But here's the issue. All the reform has to start from the bench. If you look at the cases that get overturned, and there is, beside Project Innocence, there are groups from Northwestern, which actually started the Innocent Project. Barry Scheck, I believe, who was also one of OJ's lawyers, was part of it. And they founded this group based on just what you're talking about. The reform has to be, you can't keep asking one part of the body to stay healthy when the rest of the body is infected. Listen very carefully. You cannot ask the rest of the body to stay healthy when part of it's infected. Now, what's infected? I will tell you to look at the judicial system right now. It's infected. And to your question, Mark, how do they fight? Part of that is called the appeal system, the appellate court. Again, but if you don't have those people who know how to say certain things how to do the research to get your point across, you lose. The whole idea of being able to have is allegedly you're supposed to be able to have representation. Well, at this point, we know it's not the representation that you should afford. It's the representation you can afford. And therein lies the problem. I mean, I guarantee you, there's a bunch of people out here who will probably be in their cases. I got a book. In fact, I'm trying to talk, when we get some time. There's a guy that wrote a book. He's a defense attorney, and he goes into how the plea bargaining was a tool to keep people enslaved, because I didn't realize it. Plea bargaining started in the 1700s, and it was designed to keep you enslaved.
Facts.
So how many people take a plea bargain and shouldn't? A lot.
Oh yeah, that's off the chain.
This guy says, and he argues it from a statistical point and from a legal point. He said if everybody went to court, more people would be found innocent than you would ever believe.
Mm.
And I've got him on speed dial. When we get a chance, we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll get him on.
All right, DVP, I don't know how much time we got left. I got one more question. Do we want?
We got 20 minutes.
We got 20 minutes. All right. So here's the last question, gentlemen. I'm gonna start with DVP. All right. So California recently banned local and federal officers from wearing face masks. Is this a security breach? Is this the right thing to do? Should the other states follow? I'll read it again if you need me to.
DVP, let me go first.
I don't want you to influence him, man. Let him go.
No, and the reason I tell you, because I want you to know this. In Chicago, you never could wear face masks. That's all I'll say.
So that's not a federal law.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay,
because they're doing it.
If you didn't, yeah, okay.
But according to our general orders, we can't wear face unless it's cold. You can't wear a face mask. Okay, because federal law. See, here's the thing, and again, this is why the judicial system is corrupt. They use it when it's good for certain people. So now we've got an administration that not only rehires insurrectionists, you're now telling people that. And here, DVP, tell me if I'm wrong. How do you identify somebody if you're going to make a complaint and you can't A, see their face, B, they've got no other markings on them. There's no badge numbers on these guys. They got patches. And it says police. Well, where are they the police at?
Yeah. Hey, man, on that note, Joe, I need to rewind this question, man. First question for everybody is this. If you know. So I want to know why do task force wear masks? That's number one. Then we go to this question. Why DVP? Why people wearing a mask, man? If you police don't wear masks, they're doing a dangerous job. Why does federal task force wear masks?
All right. And I want to separate what Joe is saying from part of what you're saying. Street officers can never wear masks. In Georgia, they can't. When we talk about SWAT teams and undercover officers, yes, it's to protect their safety because they're intertwined into the criminal community.
Okay,
so that's the reason. And I would say that's probably why some of the feds do it, because the feds.
Oh, okay.
For the most part, the feds don't have a street patrol unit or crime suppression unit. They're pretty much all working with different agencies. So I kind of get it with them.
Okay.
But ICE would be a street unit. So as Joe said, and as I said earlier, every raid that we did, every single one that we did, I have a mask on. We never took undercover cars. Now we did have some unmarked cars as we're pulling up. We got some of the jump out vans as we're pulling up. But the minute the SWAT team, like 10, 15 seconds before they make entry, the perimeter is controlled by patrol units. Once SWAT gets out the car, you got 2 patrol units coming up quick, lights and sirens, so that everybody knows what's going on, because we don't want people shooting at us, and we have to do our due diligence to make so that they know that it's the cops. Because again, when somebody kicking your door in, they can yell whatever they want to. You ain't hearing shit that they yelling. I guarantee you don't hear any. All you hear is a door crashing, maybe your alarm going off. So to protect them and everybody else, so that we don't have a Breonna Taylor, there's a lot of safeguards that we naturally build in. But with the mask on, yeah, I always had a mask on. Yeah, you can watch me on Cops, I got a mask on. You can see me on Channel 2, I got a mask on. But I was I lived in the criminal element. So it was for my protection. But just doing basic street sweeps, we never did those. Those are for uniform guys because they can do more. They got a patrol car with lights. In Georgia, it says for a patrol car to pull you over legally, it has to have, in I think 4-inch block letters, it's got to have an agency name, it's got to have an agency phone number or at least 911. It has to have a unit number. These are requirements, and it has to have a bar over the top, not flashing lights from the windshield. It's got to have a bar over the top of the car to pull you over. Other than that, it could be anybody. So there are requirements, and that's why I tell people, it looks cute what I'm seeing on TV, but if we were about that life, all them officers would be attacked because nobody can prove that they're officers. It don't take, you can go to Walmart and buy a pullover mask for the cold. You can go to any Army Navy store and buy a security badge. You can buy a vest. You can buy some boots. You can buy some BDUs. You can put all that on, throw your little bulletproof vest on that everybody think is fashionable now, and holler you the police and run up on somebody and get their shit. And what are you supposed to do? Well, I thought they was police. Well, why'd you think that? Well, shit, what was he driving? It was a red pickup truck. Yeah, it's a black pickup truck. How many times y'all seen people driving these old police cars from auctions? Some of them still got the light on them. They the old Crown Vics. So what are you supposed to do? I mean, there's a safeguard built in for the community and to keep us in check. But when we have this shit going on where people are so willing to violate it, and the one time we should fight back, we don't. That bothers me to no end. Because yeah, a regular guy, when I was doing domestic violence, I had on a regular uniform. My face was showing. There was no need for me to have on a mask. What am I doing that's in danger? What am I doing that's dangerous to me? Other than, the job in and of itself is dangerous, yada, 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 yada. But why do I need a mask on to enforce a protective order? We did it for raids. And the only reason we did it for raids is because the raid itself was dangerous. Because what's the first thing we're looking for after the crime? Guns. We know that guns are present. So these are bad people. This is what they do, yada, yada, yada. But if it's just a regular raid, ain't nobody finna put on no mask to raid no fucking factory for having illegal workers. This is just not going to happen.
So Joe, you got thoughts on that?
I would tell you there's a couple of books. One that's called Black Robes, White Justice. There's one on Tainted Badge. There's a few books, but in my agency, even the ones I worked for, the only people that were allowed to put a mask on were the agent that was the buy agent or the affiant.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because he or she was making the buy, and they have to attest to in court who this person is. Is this the correct person?
Right, that makes sense.
So, and that made, for that purposes. But as far as, a whole squad of people with balaclavas on, no, absolutely not.
So let me see if I heard this right, and then I'm coming to you, Mark. So the mask, is it so it is for security purposes if it's not a federal task force, if it's local task force, no?
It serves two purposes. One, to conceal an identity, and it's a method of intimidation.
Yeah, it's intimidation.
Okay, that's the goal. Okay,
see,
that's the goal.
Let me just say this right quick. When we do ours, I can't talk to people. We have a lieutenant who is in regular clothes. He does all the interviews. Nobody in a mask is allowed to interview people because I got a mask on. We probably got big guns on. We're intimidating. The law says I can't get information from you and make it be good if I'm intimidating you. So we never let mask officers ask people questions because it's already, you can't stand. I'm asking you, the SWAT team right behind you. When the lieutenant talks to you, you're off in a room. We outside it, but you're off in a room. So that way there is no intimidation in whatever it is going on. Because I've seen other agencies where they let the mask officers ask questions, and I'm always saying, "Do you violating the law? Because you cannot get a confession through intimidation. It's against the law. It's against the law. Now the fact that you're scared of police ain't got nothing to do with that. But if I make myself be a super secret police, that's a whole different thing. Because you, again, as Joe was saying, you can't even identify who's threatening you or doing anything. So yeah, you're gonna be you're gonna be a whole lot more afraid, a whole lot, whether they want to admit it or not. Because what are you gonna do? If I slap, who are you gonna say? Oh, it was a dude in a black mask. It's 20 of us.
Yeah. So Mark, so talking, civilian to civilian, I'm gonna tell you this. So if depending on the circumstances, if somebody with unidentifiable markings run up on me with a mask on, I'm not sure I'm gonna make it, because that's I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. So either one of us gonna go, probably, right? So that's why I'm trying to get the answer to this question is what do you think about this face mask issue? Is this having the people run up on you with face masks, is it a security breach? Is it the right thing to do? And should other states follow?
I think it's wrong. Because like you say, for me, as a normal person, if somebody run up on me with a mask on, regardless of who it is, my antenna goes up.
Right.
And now I'm thinking the worst off the rip. So now it's a situation where I'm thinking of protecting myself from people that should be protecting me. Because with a mask on, I don't know who you are. Like you said, it's a lot of people out here impersonating cops. Like DVP said, just you can go buy a whole get up from the store, and now you out here acting like the police, which is crazy. Now we'll say this one thing that they said when I was in Tampa, living in Tampa police had multiple different vehicles in which you would never know who's pulling you over, from lime green Chargers, red Honda Civics, and these vehicles that I saw, sky blue Silverados. So I only assume that as they confiscated vehicles, they just turned them into police cars and riding around undercover and actually pulling people over, writing tickets. So it's difficult because now if I see a lime green Charger behind me with lights on the dash, I'm not stopping. Now it's now we almost going to be in a high speed chase because I don't trust you behind me. So I do think that everything should be identifiable across the board. Because like DVP said, you're supposed to have lights on top of the car.
And that's in Georgia now. Don't go somewhere and get locked up because of me. That's in Georgia.
Even in Georgia, I did not know that. But
like, you ain't had lights on your car, man. That's why I ain't stopped, boy.
And let me just say this. Let me just interrupt you right quick, because it's entrapment. Because in Florida, and Florida used to have a Corvette. Macon used to have 3 Corvettes about 10 years ago that they seized. They were fully kitted out. But what they would do is if they saw you and you were in one of those supercars, the guy in the Corvette would ride next to you and rev the engine and challenge you to a race. If you accepted that challenge, which a lot of us did, then he'd activate his emergency equipment because he got you racing. It was entrapment because you saw the vet. You fell for the hype of the vet. You got your super duper whatever. You think you can outrun this dude because you can't see in it because he got the tent. He got the pop-up lights. And it's dark, so you can't see the side of, because the vet already sitting lower than most cars. But as soon as you take off, and they were good at this. They did this for like 3 years. They're gonna let you get a good mile at 90 to 100 miles an hour, and then activate all that equipment. And what you gonna say? Because it's entrapment. You wouldn't have raced if it wasn't the vet doing what he was doing. But that's the whole reason they got those cars. They weren't for nothing else but for highway uses. That's all they were for.
And the last thing I'm gonna say is I'm gonna say this. So thank you, gentlemen, for your input. I'm just gonna leave it here, and then y'all can take over if you got thoughts and run with those. But I guess I gotta take my statement back, because I just thought of something where I said if somebody in plain clothes or unidentifiable marks runs up on me, I might not make it, because I did. And this is in my autobiography. I'm gonna tell this quick story. So I was just walking down the street, and I'm still hood, man. I'm still in the hood. y'all know what it's like to live in the hood. Y'all probably been living in the hood. Certain things are acceptable, certain things are not. And I'm just walking down the street, and this dude just ran up on me, pulled out a gun, aimed it straight to my forehead. And I wasn't scared, y'all. Y'all know what that's like. I wasn't scared. I was hood, man. I was hood material. Today I'd be scared. I'd be like, hey, hold on, let's talk about this. But then didn't matter to me. And so in a split second, man, I did like 1,000 calculations. Like, can I get to him? Can I dodge the bullet? Y'all probably know what that's all about, right? So just before I made a move, I came to my senses and said, okay, just do what he do. Just do what he say, because I didn't know if it was a stick up. It felt like a stick up because this cat was in plain clothes, and that would not be unexpected in my neighborhood. So I laid down. He got on top of me, put my hands behind my back, put his knee in my back. When he did that, I had a sigh of relief because I was like, okay, this gotta be a cop, man. A good brother ain't gonna do that, right? I'm like, this is the cop, right? And then and I felt the gun. He had the gun to the back of my head, and I was like, well, this is it. But then when he folded my arms and put his knee in my back and put the handcuffs on, I had kind of had a sigh of relief. I was like, okay, well, I'm still here. So it did happen to me, and I let it happen. So it's it just guess it just depends on circumstances, And it was one of the things where I was thinking about that, and it's like that could have went any direction, right? If I'd have made one false move, y'all know it would have been over. I wouldn't have been on this podcast right now. But I just did that, and then I was thinking, if I lay on the ground, he's gonna stick me up, shoot me in the back of the head anyway, and so. I don't know. I guess I made my decision, but it wasn't that. It wasn't undercover. Didn't identify himself, and that's one of the things where I don't even know what to say about that. Y'all probably got thoughts on that. I ain't got no. I didn't know what to say. It's in my autobiography though, and it was just a footnote in my life.
It was illegal. It was irresponsible. It was unprofessional. Never in the history of neverism, and I worked undercover for a long ass time. As an undercover, I never made an arrest. There was nothing. Listen, I sat there in my undercover capacity and watched a man abuse a woman because what he was doing was not worth my case. I just added it to the case file. There is nothing. I have encountered nothing that in my undercover capacity I was going to step out and become a uniformed officer. Nothing. Even when I'm part of the crime scene, when the SWAT team boys come, guess what I do? I'll lay on the ground like everybody else. There's nothing that causes me to break cover. Because if you're truly undercover, there is a crime that you're looking at, and the law supports this. As long as the crime that I'm therefore, as long as what I'm looking for don't surpass it, see, I'm doing drug stuff. I can't watch you murder people. That's not allowed. But if I know I got somebody who's a contract killer or something, there's a lot of stuff I can let them get away with in the process of, because I believe this guy is a killer. But if he's just a simple drug dealer, there's certain things I can't do. But in your situation, even then, because in all of mine except for two, I was being monitored. So this is what TV is kind of true. If something happens that I don't like, there are words I can use and let them know this shit is going south. Y'all need to come on in. Whatever, we're gonna kill the investigation. What we're not gonna do is I'm not gonna expose myself. I'm gonna still be handcuffed just like everybody else. Everybody else. So yeah, what you're saying he did, sketchy as shit. And it's one of the things when people call me and give me scenarios, and I have to tell them, and this ain't got nothing to do with you, Mo, but this is how bad cops exist, because people won't file complaints. And they'll say because of this. But I guarantee you, the Joes, and the Serpicos of the world, if you can give us evidence of a bad cop, we will tell you how to get rid of them, because we don't want them because they risk our life. Correct. I'm more at risk by bad cops than I am with bad role players. So people run across bad cops, they put everybody in a category. That's what puts me in danger, because people are afraid of cops. Correct. And most good cops don't ever want that. We will tell you what it takes. I've locked up two. I locked up two of my own. Face being chastised because I didn't have to do this. You're right, but again, they didn't have to either. If they wouldn't have did nothing criminal, then there would have been nothing for me to tell people how to get them on. Life is simple in my world. Now, as Joe said, heck, we've all committed some misdemeanors here or there. I've stolen some pens. Shit. One guy, we raided his house. We took $100 of his money and bought pizzas because we were there for fucking 5 hours and we got hungry. So when the pizza dude came, he got that change that nobody wanted to count. So he got $100 in quarters. He didn't complain. The pizza was only like $67 or some shit for what we got. He'll take these quarters. So have I done some things that were less than? Of course I have. But I ain't committed no felonies, and I ain't did nothing to bring disgrace or dishonor. We were gonna take that money anyway. So I gave the pizza boy some money. Oh, get over it. He wasn't gonna know it's $100 missing.
So Joe, before you comment, let me just say this. So DVP, this kind of in response to you. This was, for me, it felt like this was a black market operation because when they took me downtown, they put me in this room. I won't go through the whole story, it's in my book, but they took me downtown, put me in this room, was no paperwork filed. They took me through some damn back doorway. I didn't even go through the department. I went through some back doorway. So it was almost like I didn't have no documentation, nothing. Like I never got arrested. And that the event never even happened. So it would have been my word against their word if I did try to take some action on it. And I'm from the hood. I didn't have a lot of intelligence. I didn't know a lot of stuff. So that's another reason why I didn't do nothing. But I don't think I would have got far on that one, man, because there was no evidence that it even happened.
But if you'd have had a chip in you, everything would have been documented.
Yes,
and
sir.
I hate that we scared of chips, but I believe, why don't we want chips? We should be chipping babies. We should be chipping people with dementia. We should be chipping people who are at risk. We keep losing them, and it's a fixable problem. It's a fixable problem. Now, do the guilty want chips? Of course not. But come on now. Every time I see an Amber Alert or something like this, I'd be like, this shit would be so easy to fix. It's so easy to fix. Go ahead, Joe. I heard you over there grumbling.
Well, hold on, Joe. Before you go on that one, answer my question first. Go ahead. Have a comment on what happened to me first.
I think that, first of all, which book is that in? Is that the second book? Okay, I just wanted, because I know I didn't read it in the first book. I'm just saying, Mark. I know you didn't get your book either, but again, he hasn't made a coloring book yet, but yours is coming.
No, the pettiness is real up in this book.
Don't worry about it. I'm gonna go to Chicago and see Joe.
Man, listen, I'll be more than happy. Look, we got pizza,
I see
we
you
got
got
barbecue. I'm waiting on you, brother.
I got hot tails in Chicago.
Yeah, we do. I got one with his name already carved in it. It says BM Big Mark. But I'll say this to you. You should have still filed something because certain things happen even in that point. The fact that you could describe a place that you were would make you more reliable than whatever they tried to deny. Because once you got into that room and you start describing it, and it would not be the first time that rogue cops have kidnapped people. I mean, in the early 50s and 60s, they used to do, that was the number one thing. Rogue cops would kidnap people and take them wherever they would. I mean, we've had policemen go to jail because they dropped rival gang members off in other factions. And what happened would be, when they went to make the complaint, the complainant would say, well, his car was this, his interior, or he had on that. So no, those type of things can be handled. But I'll say this to you. You can't live with regrets. All we can do is plan for the next time. Hopefully it never happen again. But we also have to teach our people to be more cognizant of their surroundings. So be able to identify what these people are wearing. Here's a story, the true story. So we had a serial burglar in one of the areas of Chicago. And at the time I worked in homicide, but I had, with most black detectives, you'll get whatever case they give you. So long story short, he had burglarized this blind lady. We finally catch the guy based on some other descriptions. And here's what I did. The blind lady's senses were enough for me to get to a certain point. She said, for instance, he smelled like a car, he smelled like a mechanic. And she described his hair as being wet. Jerry curl. Don't I go and find that guy? I find this guy.
Wow.
I get them. And again, just some things I learned through my years of doing what I did. I did the reverse lineup. I said, listen, man, and I did say it because the Supreme Court said, I cannot beat you, but I can trick you. So I said, listen, legally, because you don't have any other tools. We can't torture you. We can't put the electrodes to your genitals, and we're not supposed to, but we didn't. So what I did was I told him, I said, listen, you've committed a crime here, and I'm blowing smoke out my behind at this point. I said, but she's identified you, and she actually identified his clothes. I said, you can make this right, God, blah, blah, whatever else. He says, it's that lady right there with the glasses. I'm so sorry. He gave me a reverse ID, and it stood in court.
Wow.
Stood in court.
Wow. That's crazy.
But I had to do something. I couldn't let him go. I knew, in our profession, unfortunately, we can talk about common sense and we talk about feelings. The courts don't recognize, your instinct as being a valid reason for police activity. So you have to document what steps you took to get to wherever you needed to go. So I documented the fact that she was blind, that her sense of smell and touch was accentuated, that she described this guy as having a smell of motor oil, and he wore, and the other thing she said, because when he assaulted her, he was wearing blue jeans. And we also took that pair of blue jeans from him, inventoried it, and it came back with her DNA on it.
Ooh, man, crazy. So maybe I could have done something, but I was young and dumb, and I didn't know any better. So,
yeah, but we can teach somebody else not to be young and dumb.
That's right.
And before we close, and that's why, like I said, when I go out and do stuff now, I tell everybody, all y'all got phones. Make sure your phone goes to the cloud. Anytime you get pulled over, anytime you get stopped at the cloud, just start filming. If the cop is a road cop and he tries to smash the phone or whatever, what's there will go to the cloud. It's safer. There's nothing they can do about this cloud.
Right.
And in the state of Georgia, ladies and gentlemen, understand what I'm talking about. The state of Georgia say I can film anything I want to as long as I'm a part of it, as long as I'm not in a protected building. So if you're being pulled over, you are a part of what you're filming. So you can film legally. You don't need permission. You don't have to ask shit. And if you want to be an asshole, hold the phone. I'm telling you, don't hold the phone because, again, I teach officer survival. There are too many 22s that look like guns. So I'm telling you, just put the phone on the seat, put it in the holder, whatever, and just point it or put it in the visor. Just let it play. But anytime you get pulled over, start rolling tape. If you really want to be Billy Badass, go Facebook Live. I don't care what you do. But if the cop is rolled, no matter what he does, that tape will go somewhere else. So if he take your phone, you ain't lost nothing. But I stress that. Cops who are doing right ain't going to care. No. They're not going to care. But that's your first line of defense is getting their phone.
But your state is one-party consent now, which is
but
which is happening.
Georgia thing. In New York, you got to let everybody know you're recording them. There are other places where you have to let them know. But Georgia, as long as I'm doing it, that's all that matters. I don't have to tell nobody I'm recording them. I can do whatever I want to. All right. This is good. We're gonna do some more. It's 8:06. We're a little late, so I'm getting a little nasty grams. I'm gonna do better. There's a lot of shit going on this week, but we're gonna try to do this once a month because we actually do need to do more education, Joe. The things that we know that the Mo's and Marks don't know what to ask about. Because unfortunately, we probably do know a whole lot more about corrupt cops than y'all do because we've worked with them. We know how to work around them. What we can't do is we can't get people to come forward and identify them. Because the two corrupt cops that I know of, I did work with them, but they never did anything in front of me. Never. Because they knew who I was. They did other things, and when people said it and they gave me details, like Joe was saying with the blind lady, I could go back and do some research now and put pieces together. So when people say, oh, y'all know who they are. No, we don't. We have our suspicions, but it's cops. Our thing is based on facts and evidence, not our suspicions. So when we're going to accuse another cop, we need something to go on other than you don't like the way he talked to you. You got to give me something that I can do research because we don't mind doing a research, but you have to give me something.
Correct.
Because if you didn't see me there, you can't assume that I knew. And just because you saw us having lunch together, you can't assume that he's telling me everything he's doing. I want y'all to put bad cops in the same mentality of your uncle or your cousin Pookie. Y'all think they doing something bad, but y'all know they don't do it around you, so y'all tolerate them. But Pookie and Ray ain't gonna do. They ain't gonna never do shit in front of you if they know you the family member who ain't gonna do nothing. I mean, who gonna do something? So that's a realism. I'm sure Joe had his suspicions about certain cops, but he never had evidence. And 98% of what we do is evidence-based. We feel certain things, but we need something to push it. We need something documentable. ARS, articulable, reasonable speech. If we can't write it down, they don't exist. Just because I feel like somebody's a criminal, nobody gives a shit. What can you write down to say that there's a chance they are? And that's the basis of what good cops do. If we can write it down and we can start articulating, we can go forward. But if it's just a hunch, we want to push that hunch and we'll do shit to try to push it. But if nothing pushes it, guess what? We're going to move on to something else because we know we can't do nothing legally. And last something with Mark. What events happened to Pac-Man and Reebok, Mark? Because the narrative changed.
It changed.
Once people got evidence, bad cops started going down like that. That's why I tell people, when a bad cop is identified, watch what happens. Other cops rally around, not to the bad cops. They rally because nobody wants them.
Right.
Nobody wants them.
Yeah.
Everybody heard about Pac-Man and Reebok, but nobody would give up specifics. Pac-Man and Reebok messed around and got some guys who weren't drug dealers. Because as long as they was robbing drug dealers, and nobody really gave a whole lot of shit. It's just drug dealers talking. They messed around and got the wrong innocent people and took something. But who they took it from had evidence. They could present something that other cops would say, okay, so now because Pac-Man and Reebok operated for probably 10, 15 years. Probably longer than that if you believe the street lore. But it was just street talk until they ran across somebody who knew somebody.
That's funny because we have a Pac-Man here that went to jail.
I was saying, if your name Pac-Man, you're guilty.
But I got a question. Mark, how come you look like you got a shirt from Star Trek on, man? What's up with that? You look like a Klingon or something. What's going on, man? That's close. See, there's something wrong with your fingers, man. But
that's a Vulcan. That's a Vulcan. Don't do that. Don't do that, Mark. Don't do that. I'm gonna trick you. Don't do that.
No, that's a Vulcan, all right.
Well, we gotta get to Chicago.
All right. Let's go on and get these partner shots before I start getting nasty around. Mark, go ahead. What you got for us, sir?
Hey man, I sure appreciate y'all. It was very informational for me. I learned a lot, but like they say, you can learn a lot from a dummy. I guess too.
Man, I don't appreciate the way you talk about Mo and DVP, man. That ain't right. That ain't right.
What's wrong with this guy?
Come on, man.
People taking shots, boy.
Man,
I think he was talking to himself because sometimes when you don't want to go nowhere, you do talk to yourself because that way you can't confuse yourself even more. But what you got? What you got, Joe? I'm gonna separate the law enforcement and smart people.
I just want to know one thing. I want to know where Mark pressed his shirt out that loaf of bread at, because is that a wheat loaf or is that a white loaf that you use?
I will see you. Wait, I'll see you next week. Whoa. I ain't got no time to roast you, but next week is on.
I still got. I'm getting.
Mo, see what you did, Mo. Mo, I'm blaming you. You supposed to have better control over the show. You supposed to have better control.
I ain't got nothing to do with that, man.
No, because he got some books he got to get out, so you need to leave him alone.
I got it right here. I'm sending them as soon as I get off this show, man. I'm tired of getting razzed every time, man. I'm
gonna just say this before you send the book out, Mo. If his books come with an autograph, it's gonna be held up in Harlem.
Oh my God! Listen, man, I had them updated, man. I
got what updated?
I had them updated so the autograph is in the book when they get printed.
I want my book handwritten.
Yeah, I want to. Don't nobody want no prefab autograph. Man,
everything I just said about Mark, I take back. He just made so much sense right there. I'm ashamed of what I said about that man. No, I'm not.
But Joe, can you believe he's trying to send us a prefab autograph?
Yeah, auto pen. He trying to send us auto pen.
Man. It's my signature, but it's in the book.
No. Look,
so
I'm sorry.
If it's already there, then it ain't your signature.
Wait, isn't that what Donald Trump said about Joe Biden? He used auto pen.
Man, listen, I'm finna go have me 3 drinks because trying to be sober with y'all. No. Mo, what you got? Say something good. We're gonna do stocks. We got some relationship next week because I had a couple ladies ask me some questions. So Mark, I'm gonna definitely have you here.
I definitely be here.
Joe, I know you married, so you got to watch what you say, because your wife know you on the show. Mo don't tell his wife he on the show. That's why he shut the door. You know, he don't say shit. He don't say shit. So, but I want you to come, Joe, because we come from a different era. So I had some ladies pose some questions they wanted me to ask this show. I told them to wait the next show. So we're gonna get it. We're gonna have a little bit more fun, not at Mark's expense, not the whole show in it, but they'll still be at his expense. So Mo, what you got? We're gonna have some stock tips too, Mo.
Oh yeah. I just want to let people know, man. Come get this work. This is information. I'm thinking this is information that will be hard for you to get. You know what I mean? You got 2 people who, did the job. You got people here who did research. You got a civilian here who got an opinion. You put that all together and you get information that you can decide what you want to do with it. But this is the place where you can get that, man. And you can make informed decisions from that point. So come get this work. Random Thoughts with DVP and friends.
And I'm gonna say this in all jest now. Jest, ladies and gentlemen, I'm playing. If we don't know the answer, we'll make it up. Just playing. I'm just playing, y'all. All right. So until next week, I ain't even get a chance to drink my drink because I should have had some hard liquor. This right here ain't cutting it. But until next week, y'all know what it is, right? Peace, popcorn, and chicken grease, and we out.
Later.